Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Forest Beyond the Tracks, the Empire Affair podcast.
Honey, let's have an adventure, just you and me. We'll get lost in the forest beyond the trees.
Today is a bit of a mismatch of topics. We're going to be talking about some of the cover songs and mashups that we've done over the years, as well as our Forget and Ride On compilation, the Rewind the Clocks documentary, and what we have affectionately titled EP 2.5. So before we dive in, how is everyone?
Well,
yeah, it's been a lovely sunny day. So been out in the garden, relaxing in the paddling pool. It's been lovely.
How deep is your paddling pool, Matt?
Isn't that a Bee Gees song?
It is. I mean, it could go up to about sort of thigh height, I guess. But we only have it about shin height, mid-shin height, so no one drowns.
Oh, you got lifeguards on duty?
Not since the accident.
Where the lifeguard died?
Yeah.
He drowned. So had to lower the level of the pool.
Burned to death in the pool, actually.
Has been hot out there.
It has been hot, yes. I don't know if it's been quite hot enough for people to combust, though.
So how's the episode going so far?
It's a slow burner.
Like the lifeguard.
I can't believe how many these podcasts we've done already now. Like listening back to them, it's weird.
My dad's loving them.
Is he?
Calls him up after everyone, and he's like, "When's the next one coming out? When's the next one?" And I'll say, "Oh yeah, we've just done episode 7." He's like, "Oh, episode 7's out." I'm like, "No, we've just done
recorded it."
Yeah. He's like, "Okay, I'll go and check YouTube." I'm like, no. I think he's losing it.
Well, at least you've got people on your heels. I can't even get Sem to listen to any of them. My partner, she's not listened to one of them yet. So I'll get round to it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I said to her last week, I said I was going to drop her in it about not listening to it. And then I said, she won't listen for another 5 or 6 weeks. So I'll just be minding my own business in about a month's time. And she'll come charging in the room and she'll say, I know what you said.
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah, what have I done now?
That was the smoothest start we've had in a while. So we'll move swiftly on to our topic of conversation today. As I said, it's 3 or 4 different subjects. The first one we're going to talk about is when it came to a lot of our live shows, we always wanted to do things differently. And we tried to do that with the music that we wrote, but also a little bit of local notoriety for trying to create cover versions of songs, particularly either with an alternative take on them or trying to mix them into some of our original songs.
I remember we used to throw in the end of one of me, Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out. And that always used to go down a storm, especially if we're doing a pub gig.
Was it the first Vandalism that we played?
Second.
Or the second?
It was the Immortal where we got a set list mix up.
You're right, yeah. So, for anybody that hasn't listened to an earlier podcast of ours, we talked about our worst gigs, or we talked about some of the awful experiences that have happened to us on stage. At this gig where we played this version of the song for the first time, we started playing 2 different songs. Some of the band started playing Take Me Down, and the rest of the band thought it was going to be One of Me. So it was a shit show, and we managed to stumble our way into the beginning of the song. But yeah, once we got to the kind of the breakdown of our song, One of Me, where Matt is soloing on the rhythm guitar, then we bring in the start of Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out. And I used to love that live. I used to love that reaction. I think it's a common theme that we have with a lot of these mashups where we hid them in our songs, was either if we were at a gig where we were close enough to people to be able to see their faces, which, let's face it, was most gigs, but on the occasion where we couldn't, it was hearing people's audible reactions as they twigged what was going on, or they twigged that it was something that they recognized outside of our own song.
One of my favourite ones was we were doing Take Me Down, not Take Me Out, but Take Me Down, and going into that main riff of Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, you're right.
Bum, 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 bum. Then people think, oh, they're playing Seven Nation Army. And then you, Neil, come in with the lyrics from Sweet Dreams Are Made of This.
Yeah, by Eurythmics, yeah.
And it's just like another curveball, and it's really keeping people on their feet.
It was quite, that's how you got the double whammy out of it, wasn't it? Because we managed to subvert people's expectations with dropping in Seven Nation Army, which is probably one of the most recognisable kind of riffs around. And then when people have gotten over that curveball, then we threw that second one straight in. I feel like, Matt, you brought Sweet Dreams to the table. I feel like you'd heard it somewhere else before.
That one I did steal from, it's not really a band, it was actually a mini performing Shakespeare company who do in the interval, they come out to the sort of lobby area or wherever they're performing of the theatre, and they do like a few comedy musical numbers on sort of period correct instruments, but doing like pop songs in the style of sort of oldie worldy sort of chamber music, and they did exactly the same thing. So I just stole it directly from them.
Yeah, you're sort of saying 3 songs of one. That's value for money as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
we only did it for the ticket price. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it.
But I think this became something that we wanted to do so much, because if I remember right, the Sweet Dreams Seven Nation Army mashup was the first one we did. And then after that, we were always looking for other opportunities to mash up popular songs that were out like in the charts at that time, or really recognizable ones. Because Tom, you were always coming up with ones that we could do. You might be able to help me with one that I've just thought of now, and it was a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah.
What was it?
I tried to convince you guys that we could get this to work, and I'm pretty sure it failed miserably on the first go. And it was Billie Jean mixed with Goche, someone that I used to know.
Yeah, that was it.
It probably worked really well. It was like a dance remix or something. For some reason, we just couldn't get it to work.
Maybe that was another one that was ahead of our time. Maybe the idea came before we were ready for it.
It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun to kind of try and put these more well-known songs, obviously, with our own. It makes it interesting for us to play. And as you said, for a crowd to listen to, like starts good conversations with people. It's just really good. Yeah. I love doing it.
I hear exactly what you're saying. It was a good way for us to drop something recognizable into a set. And obviously, at the end of the day, we were an unsigned band. We weren't massively well known, and we were quite often asking a lot for people to get involved and jump around and sing along without things that they recognize. So it was a good way of doing that without just playing covers.
Yeah, for sure.
And it became something that we actively looked for, trying to get that into sets going forward. I mean, even as recently as a couple of years ago, when we came back and played at Mr. Kip's, we mixed 2 songs together there, didn't we? We mixed December, our song, with or Without You. I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was an interesting one to try. It might not have necessarily been our strongest one, but it was, again, certainly pushed us outside our comfort zone and made it more of a spectacle.
Yeah, I think we did something a bit more creative with it as well. It wasn't just playing the song verbatim. I think Darren said it was more like theatre. It was to rewind the clock. It was the first song of the night, and we tried to make it a bit more interesting. So we stripped the songs back. You know, it seemed like an obvious choice to me. It seemed like it just should click together, and it did. I think it was a perfect synergy of 2 songs.
Outside of mashups that we've done, I think we worked on a couple of cover songs that were direct covers from different artists that we certainly tried to put our own spin or take them our own way. And I think the one that, I mean, if any, that we are recognised for, or that we've been kind of commented on the strength of, is a song that we have tried at least 5 times to retire from our live sets, and it always makes its way back in, which is Video Games.
It's a bit like the Rocky Balboa, isn't it, of the set. It just can't be defeated. He keeps getting knocked down, comes back up again. I've got a feeling it was you, Neil, who came up with that. It's always been a hit every time we've done it, I think, because we just put that tempo in it. We crank it up, because the original song doesn't have it. It's much more laid back and sort of dreamy, and we just, we get Darren involved, hitting those hi-hats, making it sound mega, and it feels like a party anthem now when we play it, to me anyway.
For me, it sounds a lot like, there's a song by We Are Scientists. It's on In Love and Squalor album. It might be called It's a Hit. And it sounds just like our version of Video Games. So it's kind of like almost like an accidental mashup.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know the original version, I mean, you should. It's a great song. It's by Lana Del Rey. Didn't at one point, we were posting videos of us playing this live. And at one point, didn't she follow us on Twitter as a result of our creative license with her song?
Yeah, I remember it really clearly. I remember we recorded in London on the premises. I remember you come bursting into the room now. You're like, fuck yes, Lana Day. Oh my God. What's her name?
Lana Del Rey.
You can tell that Darren's a big fan.
Yeah, you come bursting in the room. It's like, oh look, Lana Del Rey just liked one of our tweets or something. And maybe we were like, oh, that's pretty good.
I remember one time we were playing at our favourite venue, Dublin Castle, and she was playing just down the road, wasn't she? She was in the jazz club.
Yeah, we gave her an invite to her. So, hey, Lana, if you're not doing anything tonight, come on down.
We put her name on the list.
We put her name on the list, Lana Del Rey and Entourage.
She doesn't pay. We'll cover the £7, Lana. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, give her a drink token for a red stripe. But no, she didn't turn up. Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
We were on stage, so we weren't,
If you were there, Lana, you're welcome.
Yeah. Sorry I had to see that.
But I used to love playing that live. I don't actually remember if it was me that initially brought it to the table or not, but I remember when we were working on it, and one of the things that I really wanted to get into it was a change of tempo or a change of rhythm. On the second half of the chorus, we go into a much kind of more heavy hitting and kind of more spacious rhythm on the drums, don't you, Darren? You kind of open it up and...
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I like playing that song, because it's a cover, but it's our take on a cover. So to me, although we know we're doing Lana Vel, I got her name wrong again. I just gotta call her Lans. Yeah, so to me it feels like an original because again the drum parts obviously just my creation. So I really like playing that one because as you said it's really hard hitting. I like playing fast. It's just really energetic.
It's better than I ever even knew. They say that the world was built for two. Only worth living if somebody is loving you. Maybe now they do. Come on, listen, kids.
What other covers do we think that we've done over the years that we've really made our own?
It's got to be a bit of Britney, hasn't it? Baby Hit Me One More Time. That's always loved.
Yeah.
Well, at pub gigs and like festival stuff, we've done that.
Do you remember, I don't remember where it was, what venue it was, but we played with another great local band called Escape from 98. And they played it as well. We both played Hit Me Baby One More Time, our own versions of them on the same gig.
Where
That
the
was
hell were
a
we?
Celebar.
Was it Celebar?
Chaplin Celebar. Mhm. I remember it well.
Because, I think they played it first, and we weren't going to play it, but because they played it, we thought, oh yeah, we'll do it as well.
Who sang it better? Like who wore it better, but who sang it better?
I think their version is much more energetic than ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good band.
Show me how you want it to be. Tell me, baby, 'cause I need to know now. Because my loneliness is killing me, and I must confess, I still believe. When I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Any other covers that come to mind? I mean, I can think of one that I think was one of Matt's brainchildren, which was Be My Baby, the Ronettes.
I think it's one of the best songs ever written. It's a fantastic, amazing pop song. Yeah, it did seem to lend itself quite nicely to Empire Fair song. We didn't stray too far away from the original. We kept it quite minimal and quite stripped back mostly, and apart from the choruses, it gave a bit more Wally and a bit more Empire Fair juice. But it was one of those curveballs where seeing people's faces go, I know this song, and it makes sense for us to play it. It's a really cool moment.
So won't you say you love me? I'll make you so proud of me. You have to turn the heads every place we go. So won't you please? Won't you be my baby? Say you'll be my darling. Be my baby now.
Gives Matt and Jack a chance to work their vocal cords.
Yeah, that's.
I know you guys are big fans of the pipes. It was always my favourite part of any gig experience was you two sound checking.
I hated it.
Yeah, I mean, when you sound check, it's a bit embarrassing when you sing because obviously you just have to make noises and typically Darren, if I could get you to please imitate a Matt sound check noise, I bet you could come up with it straight away.
Her. Oh no, Matt. We used to. I remember on soundtrack, you used to sing like a penguin song about coming.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one, Matt?
Have you ever had a penguin number two?
Why am I suddenly Alan Partridge? It was, have you ever heard a penguin run for tea? Take a look at me, a penguin you'll see. Basically, the idea is like when you're sound checking, you're supposed to sing something so the sound engineer can get an idea of how much of a strong singer you are, how loud you are, so they can get a good reading. And all my vocals are mostly sort of backing oohs and ahs and stuff, which aren't that interesting to listen to or get a good signal from when doing sound check. So for some reason, that was the first song that came to my mind when I was told sing something into a microphone was, have you ever penguin round for tea? Yeah.
And we had no warning about this. We had no idea you were going to do this. You just started giving us a full rendition, and it still sounds as good now as it did then, Matt, I must say.
Thank you. Now,
Neil, you do a cover for the soundtrack as well, don't you? What's your song?
Is it Fats and Small?
It is Fats and Small, yeah, Turn Around. Do you remember the local band, Constellation? Ali, the lead singer, he used to sing it as well. And I remember one time we were on the bill with them and they sound checked first and he sung it. And I was like, not going to do that. I'll do the Penguin song. So Matt would usually sound check first. I would then sing Turn Around, Fats and Small. And then Jack would deliver the most lackluster, unenthusiastic microphone kind of technique I've ever seen. If you didn't know Jack, those few seconds would perfectly encapsulate Jack's kind of laid back attitude. You'd sort of just go, yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah, that's fine, not much singing in this one.
Yeah, and then I just go, I'll have the same as the other vocal on the other side of the stage.
And the sound engineer would be looking at the dials and moving things around, and you'd say, yeah, 1, 2, not much talking, and then you'd stop. And every time you give it 2 or 3 seconds and you'd see that the sound engineer look up and just go, keep going.
Yeah.
Every time.
3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I've never been one for singing and embarrass easily with my pipes because deep down I know I'm an amazing singer, but I don't want to outshine.
Show me up.
Yeah, I don't want to show you up, Neil.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I know that what it all comes down to is my fragile, confidence level.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I think you're a top guy.
Neil, you did actually share lead on one cover song, and I think we performed this twice ever.
I remember me and you would sing on Bowie and Queen Under Pressure. That was always fun.
Yeah, I think we only did it twice.
Obviously, I did twice. Was it only
Bowie.
Twice?
A confession. I never actually properly learned how to play that song all the way through. The chord progression, like in the second half of the song, just changes and it muddles. And I remember, like, we were playing live one day, and I was like, "I'm just going to play any sort of chord and just sort of make it jangle."
Just turn your guitar down after you play the note.
The amp's broken again. I was like, one of those broken amp situations. But yeah, you two were Bowie and bloody Freddie over there.
It's good fun.
Obviously, we've played a lot of pub gigs and a lot of gigs over the years, and a lot of the time we've been needed to fill out the set with plenty of different covers, and we've gone through dozens. So what I'm going to do is I'll read out some of the names of the covers that we've done. I want to get a one word or one sentence answer for our thoughts or memories on those songs. But I'll start us off with Dakota by the Stereophonics.
Yeah, every band must know that song.
Sing along classic though.
A-Punk by Vampire Weekend.
Really obscure cover. I liked playing it.
I never knew the words. The lyrics and the verses were so similar, I just used to make it up. We had a few songs like that. Someday by The Strokes, which is the next one, I'll say exactly the same thing. I made up the words.
We did nice. Oh, I love the guitar riff in that. It's amazing.
Satisfaction, Rolling Stones.
Never been a fan of it.
Yawn.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I'll bunch a couple of these together. It's the same artist. So for Spectre, Celestine, and Chevy Thunder.
Oh, all bangers, but nobody knew who the band was, unfortunately.
So he possibly could have passed it off as their own. We wouldn't know.
We did a couple of Kings of Leon songs. We did Use Somebody and The Bucket.
Yeah, Use Somebody just overplayed. Everyone plays that, but everyone wants to hear it at a pub. So.
No one wants to hear it.
Well,
no one likes Kings of Leon. No one.
Really?
I think you're outvoted here, Matt.
The Bucket was fun.
I'll vote this.
The Bucket was a lot of fun because it was a bit more left to centre, slightly.
I like playing that one.
We got a list of so many covers here. I'm just going to start picking out a couple of random ones. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And these podcasts go long enough as they are. Pompeii by Bastille.
I liked it at the start. Now I'm just annoyed.
Why are you annoyed, Darren? This is your therapy. Let it out.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not good at playing it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of playing it anymore. I think when it was at its height, when it kind of came out, yeah, it was good. But now it doesn't excite me.
I know one that will excite us. What about Dancing in the Dark, The Boss?
Ooh. That's a relatively new one. And yeah, that's good.
Do you know, I've just seen one on the list here that I'd forgotten we did, but I loved playing it, which was Starlight by Muse.
Oh, yeah. Didn't we do
played
it
that
for...
Bum's Wedding.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Did we?
Bum Slam Maria's wedding.
That's right, yeah. And we did Planetary Go, My Chemical Romance as well.
Did you enjoy that one, Neil?
I didn't, if I'm honest. I didn't let it on at the time. I was very, very kind of reserved. No, I fucking hated it. It was a pain in the ass to sing. It absolutely wrecked my vocals. I was not a fan. But as we said, it was for Bum Slam's wedding, so had to deliver.
I really like that song.
I remember we played at King Charles, and I don't think anybody was there. And we busted out By the Way by the Chili Peppers. And we played it, and we were giving it fucking everything. Then we looked around, and like nobody was clapping. We're like, yeah, let's not play that again.
That's retired.
Yeah, that's retired straight away.
We did do one other half a Chili Pepper song at Soundcheck, didn't we? Was it Venice Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soundcheck. I don't think it ever made it onto a live set, though, did it?
No.
Well, yeah, I was about to say I certainly don't know the words for it, so we couldn't have done it. But then I just realised that never stopped us.
No.
I have mumbled my way through many a song that I don't know the words to.
It's all about looking the part.
What about Titanium, David Guetta at Bandlism? Because that was a bit of an oddball choice for us.
I was trying to think about this earlier. Was that a straight cover, or did we do it as a mashup?
Straight cover.
That was just cover, yeah.
Start to end.
I remember playing it on the night, and my bass was just distorting to hell because I was literally smacking the hell out of my bass, my strings to just get the loudest, biggest sound I could. And that's my only memory of that song. Just really enjoyed that, making it as loud as possible.
Yeah, I think it went down well.
I actually don't remember that experience. I know we played it, and I remember that happened, but I don't remember anything from it.
I'm the same as you, Neil. Like, I can remember us playing it, but I can't remember like where to even begin if I was trying to remember what I played in it. Like, I don't know if I was playing chords. I don't know if I was playing a synth. I had no idea what I was doing in that song.
Do you know, the only other thing I do remember about it, and it was something we didn't even do, we contemplated that being a mashup with Taylor Swift, I Knew You Were Trouble.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Oh, one of Tom's big schemes.
I like Taylor Swift. I like a lot of her music, yeah.
She probably liked you.
I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet and take your aim. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium.
We spoke in a previous podcast about our New Year's gig where Matt dissipated a mass brawl with George Michael Careless Whisper. That was for New Year's 2013-14. And on that night, we decided to do a mashup of three of the biggest songs that were in the charts of that year. Can anyone remember what those songs were?
One of them was Daft Punk, wasn't it? Get Lucky.
It was, yeah.
What was that for? Was it Pharrell Williams and is it
Daft Punk.
Daft Punk.
No, there was another one.
Yeah, you're right. It
Oh,
was Pharrell and Robin Thicke. Blurred Lines, the most rapey song ever. We don't condone the messaging of that song, but it worked pretty well in our mashup. And can anyone remember what the third one was?
Was it? Whoa.
Was it? What's his name? John Newman.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, Love Me Again.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was
to
really
do that
fun.
I
together.
enjoyed that.
My favourite part, we played a piece of all three of those songs stitched together. And I remember the bridge in between Blurred Lines, which was the first one, then Daft Punk, and then Love Me Again. The bit between Blurred Lines and Daft Punk was so slick. It was so well done. If anyone knows the song where the vocals go, "You the hardest bitch in this place," and when that did that, rather than the music carrying on, dropped straight in with the Daft Punk, the main hook, and it sounded so good. And I wish we'd have played that more, because that was really cool. I suppose the only problem really was it was very dated to that year or those couple of years.
Never say never, Neil.
Maybe we'll come back and do a 2013 renewal, like revival.
There must be some sort of nostalgia for that, you know, in like 10, 15 years. We'll just bring that back out again.
Find ourselves playing in Butlins soon.
So we obviously have released 3 EPs. Last year, was it year before? Year before, wasn't it? We released Forget and Ride On, which was kind of a compilation of live recordings, demos, remixes that we put together, we worked on over the years. But a few of those songs were being considered in between EP2, which was Sparks in the Dark, and EP3, which was Pangs. So we affectionately dubbed these tracks EP 2.5, and we considered a long time to record these. These tracks were Can You Feel It?, Dancing on the Moon, Wilfred, or I'm Just Starting, and Point Break.
I think those songs were definitely of an era, if you like. I think they sound really good together, and they do sound like a cohesive piece of work, with a slight exception of Point Break, which does sound a bit more wayward and a bit more avant-garde compared to the others, which are a bit more approachable and a bit more pop-based, whereas Point Break was a little bit more further afield. I think it would have sounded like a really cohesive EP, a really lively, upbeat one that was not far off from Sparks. It's probably closer to Sparks in the Dark than Pangs, because they were quite hard-hitting, straightforward pop rock songs.
When we decided to do Pangs, because we turned around and said, right, we're just going to do brand new songs. Anybody's seen us playing some of these songs for at least 2 years or so, and we kind of shot ourselves in the foot when we said, yeah, we'll record all these ones. And like you say, Dancing on the Moon and Wilfred, Point Break, Can You Feel It? They all sort of got left behind, but always remained in our live set. So,
yeah, a few of them are absolute staples, aren't they? Like Can You Feel It is 9 times out of 10 our opening song for our live sets. And I remember not so long ago, last year, in fact, when we played at the old fire station and Darren couldn't join us, so we brought our friend Lloyd in to drum for us, and he had to learn the songs that we were going to play for the set. The only recording, or certainly the main recording that we had for Can You Feel It, was a live version, which Darren was absolutely like dialed up to 11 on, and the tempo was insane. Like, because I mean, Darren's mentioned it before, we don't play with metronomes, we don't play to a particular tempo, and so it does vary when we play live, and obviously that generally kind of goes up with the excitement. And this particular recording is fast, and Lloyd turned up at this first rehearsal with us, and we're like, right, we'll play Can You Feel It, and we'll get a start for it. And he started the drums, and we were like, fucking hell, Jesus Christ, that is fast. And he had no idea that actually it was supposed to be much slower, but he just heard Darren's kind of super speed one. That always makes me laugh now, thinking about that song.
That's a classic trait of Darren. You know, he doesn't play with a metronome, he plays on adrenaline. When he's really excited, the set's over. You know, we've got a half-hour set. The set's over in 20 minutes.
It was, I can't express, so made, so good. California, a risky business with a loaded gun. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
I know there's been a few occasions, Neil, where like if I'm playing a bit too fast, you'll sort of put your left or right hand behind your back and wiggle at me with your finger to sort of like slow down, like sort of in a circle, like, or sort of like putting your hand down, going up and down, like fucking slow down. Sometimes they'll have the opposite effect. You're like faster. I'm like, all right.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's like a Wimbledon or something. The doubles, you know, they put their hands behind their back. That's amazing. I've
Yeah.
played with you guys for this long. I didn't know you were doing that.
You have that kind of idea that you want to make everything look on stage like everything's completely under control, and you don't need to communicate these things. Like everything's smooth. But I'm there, like bursting a lung. I need Darren to slow down a little bit.
Like, need a breather.
But none of that is more true as to Tom's thankless task of keeping up with Darren when he decides to play silly buggers at the start of One Night in Munich. So yeah, I mean, this is something that usually happens in the rehearsal room rather than live. One Night in Munich starts with Tom and Darren playing together, and Darren will intentionally speed up and slow down throughout the whole intro to keep catching Tom out. And Tom, with the patience of a saint who I've only seen lose his temper twice at most, never is fazed by it.
I just saw like ×2 the speed. Like 3 seconds. And they're like, what are you doing?
I just go with the flow, you know. It's a bit of a laugh, bit of fun.
Yeah, I think now it's just come to the point where you're probably expecting it and you're just normal. I might just throw it in.
It's one of these again. Oh, I've been here before. I know how to deal with this. One of the most other fun things we do in like intros to songs in practice is Darren will often do a weird counting, like 33 or
33 and a half.
33 and a half or like 29 or something. Right, do that, count it in, and then we'll have to join in the song at that point.
Just go a minute and we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All you can do is just 6.
But the problem is we find it so funny that he's doing it, but then we're not counting either. So he just starts playing the song, and none of us have counted, so we're not prepared for it. It'd be nice to get into a rehearsal room again when this is all over.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So on EP 2.5, Can You Feel It I would have assumed would have been the first song, and I probably would have heard Point Break as the final song. I think it's probably fair to say that Point Break is probably a very much a lesser known song of ours. We didn't necessarily play it live all that much. I think it's a really good song, but I think Matt's right as well. It is quite different to a lot of the stuff that we've written.
I wrote that one, I think it was like New Year's Day or early into a new year once. I just by myself on the bass guitar, and it doesn't usually happen like this, but the words and the musical came together quite quickly, and I recorded a demo of me singing over playing just the bass guitar. For me, it was a real big moment. I could write something that wasn't perhaps what you would deem a traditional pop song, or verse, chorus, breakdown, final chorus. The song has a longer outro that we've extended to the point, I think, where you guys probably get a little bit annoyed with me. And I'd be like, yeah, let's just do another repeat of it. It's like 2 minutes long. But the Point Break name, it's like a surfing term, and obviously the amazing film from the 90s with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. But that wasn't what I was going for. It was point break in a relationship. It was the breaking point, so to speak. So it was getting to a place where you can't carry on anymore, and the feelings that may bring. For me, it's not too left field, but it's probably more left field for our type of music. It's a stepping stone in the writing between what we're doing on Sparks and what we're doing on Pangs. And it's also about a relationship breaking down, which what Pang was predominantly about. I had to write that to get to the writing on Pangs. It was a transitional song, but doesn't take away from what it is. I think it's a really strong song and has a brilliant outro, which I'm very proud of.
You sold me down the river, but I missed the boat. Struggled to get her, reason to stay alone. We hit Point Break, you just turn away. Nothing left to take, treasure the happier days. I'm lost in the flight of your life and your young flight. I'm lost in the flight of your life and your young.
I also think as well, like the other songs that would have been on this EP were really strong songs and would have sounded great recorded, but I firmly believe that Point Break would have been the one that would have improved tenfold with studio magic and real time and being able to develop. I think it could have been phenomenal, and it's one that I would always kind of hope that we might one day be able to go back and record, even if it's just to see what we could do with it.
It's the same as Sunrise, really, from Sparks and Dark, isn't it? It wasn't necessarily a great live song, but for depth and artistry and musicianship, it's a really good example of what we can do and a great example of Tom's writing.
Those 4 tracks were standalone in the time they were written and would have gone on to be on 2.5. But most of them made it onto our compilation record, which we released in 2018, which was called Forget and Ride On. It's from the song Ride On, which is another one that was very close to making a record. And it was very nearly on Sparks in the Dark, wasn't it?
It was on until we turned up to the studio.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, "You've got to drop a song. We ain't got enough time. With the amount of time that we were allotted." And so, unfortunately, Ride On got the chop.
All these songs made it onto this compilation. And as I said before, it's a combination of some live recordings, some demos, a couple of really good remixes that Matt and Tom worked on. And yeah, some lesser known things on there as well. What memories do you have of the tracks that are on Forget and Ride On?
I think Painted Palm Trees, how that didn't make Pangs. Well, it's not a shock, but it's a great song. I really liked it. We reworked this sort of mid-late part a few times, and we changed the outro like about a year ago. So we've still been working on it, but I thought it was a great song. And I just like the phrase of painting palm tree as well.
Why do you like it?
I don't know. It's a visual thing, isn't it? It makes you think of a painted palm tree. Palm
when
trees.
You say painted palm tree, do you mean like a palm tree that has been painted, or?
Well, I think this is the interpretation time, right?
Or
I know you love to keep things people guessing and keep people using their own kind of interpretation of things. To me, I view it as, especially with the lyrics of the song as well, I view it as it's made to look idyllic and brilliant and the most beautiful scene, but actually it's just kind of been fixed up and painted on, and it's a bit like covered up. But that's my interpretation of it.
I like people interpreting things because it gives sometimes my creative outputs more meaning that I didn't think of and had no intention of it. So just keep going, guys. Just keep spitballing and just making stuff up because it makes you sound like a genius.
It's about Bournemouth. Bournemouth as a town, like that tries to portray itself as this beautiful seaside resort with palm trees, but actually they're a bit.
Matt sees through the lies.
Yeah.
The song itself was really about the future and fears for the future and worrying about how things may or may not turn out and feeling insignificant in the world. That was the sort of direction I was going with the lyrics. Yeah, I was really pleased with the music on it as well. I think it's very underrated. We only played it a handful of times, and it got my vote for Pangs. I will just say that on that vote day, but didn't make the
So another one that I was going to pick out from Forget and Ride On was Stay Gold. We've obviously spoken about so many live experiences we've had and our attitude towards live gigs, where we've always wanted to offer something new to people, whether it was these different outfits that we wore or new songs or new covers. And Stay Gold was a really interesting one for me personally, because the rest of the guys had started writing this song after I'd left the band. It had been trialed with different vocalists and things. And I remember coming back in when we said that we were going to get back together for this gig back in 2017, where we filmed the Rewind the Clocks documentary. And I remember being handed the lyrics by Tom, and I read them. And obviously it's the first time in a few years that I'd kind of had a new set of Tom's lyrics to kind of work with. And they had a recording of another vocalist that had worked on it. And I remember feeling quite odd, like feeling quite out of place. But then within a few minutes of working with the song and working with the guys again, I remember distinctly feeling like, all right, it feels like I'm home now. It feels like this is exactly what we came back for. So that song has a special place in my kind of memory, probably more so than I think you guys probably realize.
When we wrote it, I think it was literally summer 2015, where I literally had the lyrics then, and the music, we had it for a year and a half until you came back in. It was good to go. And I remember saying to Jack, I think this is one of the best songs we've ever written at the time. I was so so proud of it and so pleased with it. It was really exciting to get you back on it, Neil, because we knew you could do the vocals justice how we intended it to be. It all worked itself out really well. And then, as you say, we played it for the first time at the Rewind the Clocks gig, and it felt really exciting to play something new to an audience again that we hadn't done at that point in almost 2 years. Yeah, I just think it's one of my favourites to play. I love Jack's part, I love his lead part, I love Darren's energy on the drums, and I think it's got some great hook in there with the vocals. I just think it's one of my favourites.
Don't give up, don't give in, don't let them win. It's in your touch, there's so much love under your skin. You're restless, but the world needs more people like you. Your heart is endless, purple and pure, and it beats in so few. Don't get old, just stay gold forever. Don't grow cold, just stay gold forever.
What else stands out to people on Forget and Ride On?
Yeah, I'd just like to commend Matt for his remix of the Press Reset one. It's like very chilled out, just with the piano and Neil's vocal. And it's played at the end of the documentary we made. And it's quite a somber song, and it's quite an emotional song, quite an emotive song. So well done, Matthew Park.
I actually watched that documentary earlier, and like I say, at the end of the documentary, it just works really, really nicely. I think it totally flipped that song on the head, just reworking that synth into the piano. There's not much else that's changed. I didn't change the key, didn't put it into a minor key or anything like that, or it's just literally changing the synth to piano, and how different the song sounds because of it it came out really well.
And you also did another remix, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, the Forest Beyond the Trees Good For Me remix, which I kind of did while we're on a little break. I think I had all the stems from the Pangs sessions laying around, and I was starting to experiment with music production and home recording at the time. And I wanted some material that I knew well to experiment with. There's one song in particular which I was trying to sort of take influences from and build from. And this was a remix of LaRue. Remember the In For The Kill?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called the Scream Let's Get Ravey remix.
Yeah.
And I was trying to base this Forest remix on that. And so I found a couple of different electronic beats. I played around a little bit with Neil's vocals, took most of Jack's guitar out, most of my guitar out, most of my synth out, but kept all of Tom's bass in.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
Sound I hear is you, is you, is you.
Why is it called Good For Me?
You may remember back when we did the Pangs episode, there's that little tiny bit of quite quiet off-mic audio of Darren saying something like that, that's good for me, which I used kind of as a hook for this remix and boosted it way up into the mix and used it almost like a sample as backing vocals or something.
Was it good for you, Darren?
It was very good for me, yeah. Yeah, I like that one.
Speaking of the main man, Darren, what do you like on that record? Or what memories do you have?
Yeah, I like Make Your Move, which on Forget and Ride On is it says March 2011. I assume that's when it was released or recorded, somewhere around there. Favourite one for me, just because it just reminds me of early days, and also I just get loads of images and how we recorded it, just how crude it was. You can obviously tell we've never recorded before because we've obviously tried to do it ourselves, and there's quite a few out of time bits, and obviously it's a song we don't really play nowadays, or we haven't in probably close to a decade.
Do you remember what song we took inspiration from?
Is it Eddie Grant? No, Eddie Grant?
It's Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Bob Marley.
Iron Lion Zion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a combination of the editors and Bob Marley. It's sort of the angle we were going for.
We would sing that, wouldn't we? As we were working on that song in rehearsals. When it got to that bit, we would all go, Iron, Lion, Zion.
And welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Richard Medley has got in there somehow.
Do you want to give that some context, Darren, for people that don't know? I know Tom mentioned it at the beginning of last week's podcast.
I'm not sure there's any hardcore fans out there of Big Rich. I think there's like a YouTube compilation of all his intros. I think it's a compilation.
Yeah.
All his intros, when it comes back into the show, he's always sort of leant back in his chair, one leg folded, and as the sort of camera comes on, it's kind of like it takes him by surprise. He sort of shoots up and goes, welcome back. And there's a bit in the song where Tom does a bass line and goes, do, 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 do. And on the drums, I think I hit 3 notes, but quite quick. So it's like, welcome back. Just always like kind of,
Welcome back.
If drums could talk.
They'd say slow down.
yeah, they would. They'd be screaming, ah!
Not so hard, not so quick.
Is that the drums or?
The Forget and Ride On album and the documentary were kind of released into the world within about a month of each other. And they both came about by me wondering, was this actually it? Was this the end? We've got all this content that hasn't been shared into the world. Let's get it out there in some fashion. So it was a case of thinking back and sort of showing the world we were there once upon a time. We existed. And the idea was to show us, using that photo within a photo idea of the cover of Forget and Ride On, it would say we were here once upon a time in this space. We may not be back in this space again, because obviously that, well, at the time it came out, we didn't know how things were going to develop and progress from that point. But it was very much conceived as the closure in a book, the last chapter.
And yet they still can't get rid of us.
And yet we still keep playing Lana Del Rey video game. The day we retire that song is the day we retire as a band.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Tom kind of briefly touched on it then. It's similar to how I feel about the Forget and Ride On album / project, was that we had a lot of great songs, I think, and a lot of really good and strong songs which we wrote and performed a lot, but just weren't really out there because they weren't recorded on EPs. We didn't get a chance to do studio recordings of them. And I felt like it was a shame that they weren't readily available on digital platforms. And songs like Point Break and Dancing on the Moon and Wilfred and We're All Just Animals and more, and loads of great songs that just weren't available, and I was really, really proud of, and I wanted to share and get out there, but we just didn't have. So I'm really, for many reasons, I'm grateful to Tom for pressing us and pushing us to release this album and get that material out there.
We did the Rewind the Clocks gig, and then nothing really happened for like another year after that. So I was thinking, well, if this is it, let's close it and draw a line in the sand. And let's get this out there for people to hear and listen and hopefully enjoy. So it took a long time to get the live recordings up to a standard that I thought should be heard. I'm no expert in mastering and mixing stuff, but all I had was these basic live recordings, and I had to just sort of make them sound as good as they can. I thought I'd structure it in a way on the record, almost chronological order, telling a story of where we were at the beginning to where we kind of ended. That was the idea. And also in the name of the record was Forget and Ride On, i.e. eventually you'll forget we're here, but carry on, ride on, so will we. Obviously, I'm glad it hasn't gone that way yet. I'm very excited what the future holds for us. That was some of the sort of thought process behind that record from my perspective anyway.
It's something that we could look back on with loads of memories and a lot of fondness. Very much like these podcasts in a way, actually. And I've talked to a few people about what we've been doing with these podcasts. And I think what's the best thing about it is if people are listening now or years down the line, I hope that you've really enjoyed them, and I hope that it's been interesting and you've had some laughs. But ultimately, what we've got here now with these podcasts is essentially a digital archive of some of our best memories over the last 10 years. Now we will never lose these again. So I think Forget and Ride On as a piece of work is in a similar vein.
Soul trees are
think there's no doubt that the biggest piece of work that Tom has taken on and that we can look back on with extreme fondness is the Rewind the Clocks documentary and subsequent gig that was filmed at.
The documentary couldn't have been made without quite a few people, but just quick shout out to a couple helped us massively were Luke Prince, who did a lot of filming of us in the rehearsal rooms leading up to the gig itself, and also Grant Barrett, who filmed on the night of the gig and got some of the behind the scenes stuff and stuff, some of the footage of us on stage, because we had other things going on that we needed to concentrate on while that was all getting filmed. But in terms of the documentary as a whole, again, it was, say, similar to Forget and Ride On, because from my point of view, we had a lot of false dawns and false endings within the band over the years, and it was never certain if it was definitely ending or definitely certain if it was going somewhere, like to a higher, bigger level that we kept on trying to get to, but we couldn't seem to quite get to. We had all these memories and all these good times together, but do we need to draw it to an end? Is it going to come to anything ever? So the footage just sat on my computer for a year after the gig. Nothing came of it. I didn't want to look at it, didn't want to do anything. And I started looking at it in the summer of 2018 when I was between jobs. And it took me about 4 months to complete. But now we have this, for want of a better word, like a statue, or like a painting, a documentary. We can look at it and go, this was us at a moment in time. We have this thing that you can't take it away from us. You know, we can look at it in years to come and remember the night, remember the years we had together, remember who we were as young men with questionable facial hair. I'm very pleased I managed to complete it and get it out into the world for everyone else to see.
If you can spare like less than hours, just go and watch it. If you know us or if you're fond of us or anything like that, it's really fun. There's lots of funny moments and there's some quite emotional bits. And the irony of Tom saying that we have had a lot of false starts or false endings rather, and this was kind of almost like the closing of the book. The irony is that the kind of emotional response that it got out of us very much was a catalyst for us to carry on again and do this and write more music. So in effect, it was supposed to be the closing of the book, but it turned out to, in a way, be another false ending. Not just the gig and the footage there, but also the premiere when we screened it to a select number of people at Absolute Music, the same room that we recorded the video for Forest Beyond the Trees, but it had been renovated since then. So it's funny how kind of these things come around in full circles, and it's another archive for our memories and our achievements and our successes and failures and our learning. And like Tom said, our younger selves and how we were and how we thought and how we behaved. It's fascinating to be part of it.
There are a lot of memories and a lot of gigs and a lot of moments in that documentary. And it's one of those pieces of the film which I've seen it quite a few times now, and each time I see it, I pick up on something completely new that I might not have picked up or seen before, especially in the last sort of little montage when that remix of Press Reset is playing. There's so many little memories of it, and like I said, I pick up on something slightly different each time. For me, it's quite a rewarding watch, and I hope that people that are slightly more detached from the band, when they watch it as well, they have a similar response to it, that they kind of get who we are and where we're coming from.
Sail away, falling jet, back from the dead, start again.
Yeah, I just loved like the beginning part of the documentary where we're all cocking up in band practice. Like, these are songs that we've all written ourselves, and we've all turned around and just gone, oh, I've forgotten everything.
I do feel like that's what it's going to be like after lockdown, and we go back into a room and try and play these songs.
Yeah, definitely.
Like restarting again.
Again.
I tell you what, though, just off of what Matt said there, if you're listening and you're not as close to the band as one we are and our immediate friends and family, please do have a watch of the documentary, and we'd love to hear your thoughts, because obviously, like I said, we are a bit biased and we are very close to it, but it would be nice to hear what people kind of think about kind of the story. And I think it's got a really nice narrative to people, that even if people don't know us at all, it tells a story over those 48 minutes that I think is really interesting.
The gig was put up together to raise some money for our friend Paul Reed, who had prostate cancer and he's since recovered, which was great. But we felt like we could do with raising the profile of it all a little bit and raise some money. And I think we raised over $1.5 grand, I think, on the night.
Yeah, I think it was.
You know, there was a raffle going on as well, and someone going around with a bucket, and we had a couple of sponsors. I think Absolute Music sponsored us, A&D Bars sponsored us, and Snug Fitted Furniture sponsored us. And there was a microphone company, Matthew.
Yeah,
We're on it.
Centronics from Paul, local company, do really good microphones.
So yeah, they all chipped in and gave us some money to put towards the kitty to sort of raise some money.
Hopefully, us 5 guys have seen it a few times between us. So to test how well you've been watching, I have a little question for you.
Oh, look at him trying to chip in on my Quizmaster turf.
We have still got a Jack question later as well, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay, that's fine.
I don't have a fun contact lens story this week, so I have to chip in with something else. Okay, so how many different guitars am I playing in that documentary?
They run up to the gigs like over 4 months, but then it goes back to like 2012, 2013, some of the footage, so it's a long time.
And you've made your way through a fair few guitars.
Yeah. Thank you.
Some you've built yourself as well.
Some I have built myself.
This could be a ruse. This could be like the same guitar twice, but it's been reskinned and stuff.
I'm going to go Lee Sharp 5.
Lee Sharp 5?
I'm going to go 7.
Oh, you nicked me. I was going to go Eric Cantona 7. Oh, Darren, give us a number and a football reference.
It goes up to 20, doesn't it? All right.
Go up to whatever you want.
12.
I'm going in the middle. I'm going 9.
This week's winner of my question, not Jack's, completely separate, is Neil. Bang on. I played 9 different guitars.
9. Oh,
that's incredible.
Andy Cole, number 9.
It was. Well done.
There you go.
I think I only played 2 guitars in that.
Why do you think you played so many guitars, Matt, over the years?
I get excited by new stuff. Some of them I only played for like a half a gig and went, nah, I don't like this anymore. And like Neil said, I've made a couple. 9 over, was it 9 years of playing? That's only one different guitar a year. It's not too bad going.
My favourite part of the documentary is when Tom's locked out at the backstage. You know, he can't get into backstage.
You'll have to watch the documentary to see if I make it in time for the gig.
My favourite is seeing that footage of us finishing the set with Don't Stop Believing. Spoiler. Sorry for referencing the documentary. That's another one I said earlier about things that come full circle. Don't Stop Believing came as obviously, if you know from the previous episode, we talked about it, an error on stage where Jack's equipment wasn't working and we were in front of best part of 1,500 people, and Tom just started playing the bass line to Don't Stop Believing and I started singing it. And then 5 or 6 years later, we finally got to cover it and finish our song. And again, we thought that could be the end for us. And so that could have been the last song we ever played together. And another false ending, but another kind of meaningful moment for us. But I love seeing that back and ending the set like that. Darren, what about you? What memories do you have from that?
Favourite moments? Very random, but there was a little shot on when we were in one of the rehearsal rooms in Blue Line. There's a whiteboard, and on it is, we mentioned her earlier, but it's Lana Del Rey. And it looks
He's got the name right.
Hey.
It always cracks me up, but to me, it looks like, I think it's supposed to be her lips, but it looks like a mustache or a beard.
Oh, yeah, Tom drew a picture, didn't he?
I think, you said, like, why's Lana got a mustache or a beard? And to me, it's so obvious. I can see it, I think, that looks like a bloke. And I don't know, it just always makes me chuckle.
I'm not the greatest artist in the world, and it was done in about 5 seconds, but I stand by that drawing.
And then to redeem you delivered one of the best, like, little pre-gig pump-up, like, speeches. It could go down in history, that. Like, I think that's on video of you kind of pepping us up and kind of putting everything into context and understanding how important it was for us to do the gig. That was the night before the gig. And you're quoting your Springsteen, No Surrender.
I had a T-shirt made specifically for the gig because that's how cool I am. With the Bruce Springsteen song "No Surrender," which I think sums up. I'd like it to sum up a feeling that I should carry with me throughout life, because it should be something we should carry with us, all of us. Because we shouldn't give up. We should carry on. We should keep going no matter what, as best we can.
Especially times like this.
Yeah, so it seemed fitting for that night for us, and yeah, even now, well, forever.
And Matt, can you remember what you followed up Tom's speech with?
It was either "Don't stop stopping" or "Never stop stopping" or something like that.
Yeah, I think you finished your speech with saying, Tom, like, never stop. And Matt, you immediately followed it up with what? Like, never stop stopping. Don't stop.
It was. Have any of you seen the film Pop Star with Andy Samberg, Lonely Island? Very, very funny film. And funnily enough, that was a kind of mockumentary or popumentary about this Justin Bieber style character, following him around. And yeah, the tagline for that film was "Never stop, never stopping." And that's what I meant to say, but it came out a bit wrong.
Right. Well, I think we all know what time it is now. The time that everybody clings on to for these podcasts. It is time for Jack's question. I believe we're all square after last week, so the stakes have never been higher.
Who knows and who cares? You know.
We do.
So this week's question is: when we come to write a new song or we come up with some music, sometimes it gets lost and sometimes it doesn't see the light of day. And I think, Tom, you said around about 2015 when we had Stay Gold, the music down and the lyrics. At that time, we actually had 2 other songs that we had finished. They had lyrics, but we never played them live. Can anyone remember those 2 songs?
Was I still in the band?
Yep. I've got recordings of you singing on them now.
Oh, wow.
I can remember one of them, and I think this was maybe a working title, but I'm pretty sure it was called Empire Down.
It was called Empire Down. The working title was Darren. We said, "Give us a boy's name." You went Ashmish. That was the name you landed on. Other song.
For some reason, the name Julian comes to mind.
No, that
was Julian something else.
This is really annoying me now because I can't remember any of them.
This is Michael Jordan before the buzzer goes shot. Steady as she goes.
What's the name of the track? What was the title?
That's the title.
No.
Steady as she goes. No. Oh,
that's the lyrics.
Lost the game then.
You're out. So
I'm out.
Tom's laid you up. He's alley-ooped you.
Oh, I've got no idea. I'm going to have to tap out. I don't know. I don't even remember that first one.
Tapping out, guys. The other song was... Tom got the right song. It was titled Too Hot.
Too Hot. I mean, that's probably why we broke up. That was a shit name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just singing about what it was like being in a practice room. Too hot.
Hold it together, boy. Just keep it together, boy. Tired when I break a bone. I'm done to distraction. Spontaneous combustion. Confused delusion. Sleight of hand, love and illusion. Double cross is a trap. She ain't coming back.
Again, thank you very much for joining us on another hour plus of nonsense and ramblings. I think next week we're going to do the big one, aren't we? We're going to do Croatia.
we're going to talk about our 2 different tours of Croatia. One in the winter, one in the summer.
If you've got questions in advance, feel free to always message us on social media. Thanks for listening, and no surrender.
Stay gold.